Dr. Mod, we always get lots of questions when we shoot these videos. I try and pick through the comments. You always look at all the comments.
Yep.
Stay pretty quiet, but I try and answer a lot of the comments. So I thought it would be fun to start a new video series. We have Dr. Mod's Lab, where you show us all the cool new stuff, all the things you're working on, all the things that you've discovered. What if we did one called Ask Dr. Mod? This is the new video series where we take your questions and ask Dr. Mod. You know, because so many people ask questions that I really don't have the answer to. Like, can you fix my Xbox 360 that has a red ring? A long answer to that question, but really the answer is sustainably no, right? But we'll answer questions like that because a lot of these questions are questions that I want to know the answer to also. I would like to be better equipped when people comment and leave questions like that. So I think it's really important to go all the way back to before it was Dr. Mod, when it was, I don't know, Resident Mod? I don't know.
Mr. Mod.
Mr. Mod? Yeah, before you had that fancy title on the beginning of your name. This first question comes from Tofer. Comes from me. And then all of you guys hit the comments and leave your best question. If you have a question that you've always wanted to ask, you got that one console that you're like, man, is this moddable, or can we do this, or is this salvageable? Before you throw anything away, don't ever throw anything away. You should ask questions. To start this all off, I have a question for you. We've talked about this a little bit, but I think it'd be really fun to let the audience know. What was the thing that really got you into modding consoles to begin with? Where did it start? Which console did it start with? And really, why? Why did you start?
Well, you know, I've always loved retro games. They bring me back to my childhood. I had a good childhood. Video games were a big part of it. It was a great pastime for me. And I remember when I got my first action set NES and opening up that, you know, Christmas morning and just playing with it nonstop. And that, you know, went on to the next iteration, Super Nintendo, 64, GameCube, Wii, you know, it just continued. Then with all those consoles and wanted to go back to them, well, what do you have to do? You have to go and take them out in the closet, get the wires for them, all that, set that up. Kind of wanted a simpler way to enjoy all that. The other thing is we used to have gaming nights with my friends and we'd play some of the old retro games on the NES and stuff. And then you'd be playing it and then all of a sudden, boom, game froze, you know, or, you know, playing on games that had batteries in them, you know, where the battery went bad. You played all that game and then what happened? Your save file isn't there and going, no! But with emulation, a lot of that is fixed. And yeah, it's not the same experience. I still love, you know, hooking up. It's always fun when you hook up an NES and you're playing the real, you know, game on there. I still enjoy that, and I still have mine set up for that. But also, it's sometimes really nice to have that smooth experience with emulation, knowing your game file is going to save, knowing you can create a save state and go right back to it. But mainly, I would say the thing that made me want to get into this the most was just being able to get together with friends and family and to be able to play anything we wanted to play. Yeah. And enjoy anything we wanted to enjoy. And that's what got me into it.
What was the very first console you ever tinkered with and why? Like, what were the steps that took you?
Yeah, well, my dad had me working on cars since I was, you know, had the dexterity to hold the wrench for him or hold the flashlight for him. So I worked on cars since I was a little kid with my dad. And my dad's the one that got me my first Game Boy. Honestly, I would say that's the first one I tinkered with. Why? Because like a lot of people, I lost the battery cover for my Game Boy. Yeah. And I learned that Scotch tape could hold the batteries in. So I would say that's probably the first thing I modded. Not the most impressive mod.
Not the most impressive mod, but tape does the trick.
But it works. And I still get a kick out of it when I'm restoring like an old Game Boy and you see the tape there and you go, I remember those days. I remember that. It worked. I'd say that's the first thing I tinkered with. But as far as like the real mods that I do today, it starts with original Xbox, and the Wii. I kind of worked on them at the same time. I knew they were both good at emulation. I really enjoyed them. I enjoyed the Xbox because it was kind of like a PC, working on a PC, and I used to work on computers too. I liked that about it. The Wii, everything was software. And I could do it with an SD card. And I enjoyed that, and the menu was really neat. But love both consoles equally, and just their ease of use and their ease of modding.
One of the very first consoles that I ever attempted to mod was an original Xbox. I did a terrible job. I bricked mine. Went straight to a store at the time here locally that was called Fair Game. Bought another used Xbox and attempted it again and bricked it a second time. And then I decided to go online. This is when Craigslist first became a thing. I decided to go online and try and find somebody that could help me. And I found somebody on Craigslist that was modding original Xboxes. And so I took him my Xboxes and was like, is there any way to salvage these? And he was like, at the time, he was like, no. And that guy that I met, still one of my best friends to this day, Anthony, shout out to Anthony. He's the one that taught me how to mod original Xboxes. Unfortunately, I had to burn through 2 of them. You actually remodded one of those first modded Xboxes of mine. I went to Fry's and bought swappable hard drive cases. And we would get, back in the day, 40 and 80 gig hard drives were like the thing. That's like the biggest you could go. And so I bought a bunch of those, and I ran a hard drive cable out of the back of the case. I cut a hole in it, and you can swap the hard drives out, hot swap the hard drives. And I had each of the hard drives labeled A, B, C, D, and I would fill those things up. That was my first
I remember
experience.
that. Yeah, I remember when I worked on that one, and it was a pretty impressive setup. I'd never seen anything like it.
I mean, that was a setup that was like, early 2000s.
Still was cutting edge for its day, you know? And, with the Xbox, there's a couple ways of modding them. One is a hardware mod, and sometimes the hardware mod can be good at bringing some of your Xboxes back from the dead when you've messed the firmware up, doing the software mod. Sometimes if you mess up with that, sometimes you can kind of bring it back with a mod chip. And then software modding kind of makes things a little easy, and don't even have to open up the Xbox. But of course, if you're going to put a bigger drive in it, you have to open it up. You're going to open it up.
So the original Xbox was the one for you.
Yeah, I really liked it. I think it was one of the, to me, kind of feels like it's one of the golden ages of modding. Just the amount of development, all these different modders came up with these great apps that ran things so well and would display the box art and stuff like that. Just beautiful menus with animations. It still looks great today, even though the mods are older. It's still a great console mod, very enjoyable.
I think that the original Xbox to this day is still one of my favorite mods.
Same here.
So, and then you said the Wii.
Yeah.
So how long into the Wii's life cycle were you kind of starting to tinker with that?
The first time I did, I tried to install the homebrew channel, and I did the thing with Twilight Princess, and then it worked, and it went through, and I was able to install the homebrew channel, and I was like, oh my God, I did it. I software modded this thing. Nintendo made an update. And it went away.
Yep.
I was always hesitant after that experience to ever update any of my consoles again, because it just wiped it out.
Now, the other question, of kind of the part 2 to this question, is the reason you started modding was for your own personal, like you wanted a console that had like everything there at your fingertips that you could play.
Exactly.
I think there's 2 different routes to modding, and I don't have a problem with either of these. You've got somebody that wants to tinker with things and wants all of their stuff in one place, and then you have somebody that wants to create a product to then sort of sell. And I don't have a problem with the entrepreneurial nature of making a product like that to sell. One of the reasons why I think I felt so drawn to you when we first met at the Expo a couple years ago was because it definitely seemed more like a passion project than it was like, I'm just going to sell as many of these things as possible to try and make a bunch of money. And I think that's why to this day, I am so diehard with the stuff that you do, because it's always, look how cool this is. A lot of the stuff that you bring to my attention is like really not even financially viable in most cases. It's like, well, the average person isn't going to go out and spend X amount of dollars to make this thing happen, because nowadays we have modern PC emulation, and most of this stuff can be emulated on a PC. But the idea behind a handheld GameCube, the idea behind a handheld PS2 that is original hardware is really exciting. And I see your guys' comments. I see a lot of the comments of like, your Ally can do, you have an Ally X, like I am affiliated with Asus and I'm on Team ROG. And yeah, I have an Ally X. Could the Ally X play those games? Windows 11. Yes, it could play it. But there's something really fascinating about the things that you bring over here on the weekends to look at are just purely out of enthusiasm of our hobby, which is retro gaming and preserving the things that we grew up with. the things that really bring us joy and the things that we can then share with younger generations or our kids for that. This is something I really love doing, is sharing this sort of stuff with kids.
It's called a passion, you know, and that's what this is, and that's why I do it. It's a passion. I just look forward to it.
Yeah.
You know, there's something about creating something, you know, that is, and especially seeing that thing you create work. It's an experience I can't explain, but I love that experience.
It is tinkering. Is one of the things that I love the most. And I've said this before about my arcade videos, but in some cases, I actually enjoy fixing and tinkering with the arcade machines more than I do playing them. I certainly spend more time doing that than I do actually playing the machine. Now, this isn't what you do for a living. I mean, like, you legitimately are a doctor. That's what you do for a living. This is something that you do because you genuinely are passionate about it and you love
Absolutely. And you know, there's a similarity to both things, actually. I've always liked to fix things ever since I was little. It's just something I enjoy doing, opening something up and trying to see how it works and try to fix something that's broken.
Yeah.
That's how it started, the excitement in that. And it went from a lot of things. I'm going to be honest, I broke a lot more things than I fixed initially. And sometimes I still break things.
Yeah.
But
hopefully not people.
Yeah, no, not the people. Yeah. That's how it started. I mean, with me becoming a doctor and modding, I like to fix things, and then I like to fix cars with my dad, and then PCs and things like that. And then I said, well, I like science, I like dealing with people, and medicine's pretty fascinating, and that led me to become, go into undergraduate, study to be pre-med, and then go on to medical school and residency, and now where I'm at today.
Yeah.
And I'm not a surgeon, okay? So I mean, some of the things you see me do, you think I'd be a surgeon, but no, I'm a general practitioner, and I love what I do because of the variety I see, and I get to have one-on-one interactions with my patients and get to know them and take care of them as we both age. Something I like, but I also still love playing video games and looking back on the great times I had playing them. And that's why when I come here and we do these videos, it's always a nice experience and relaxing, just like looking at all this nostalgia, and it puts you in a good mood.
Well, and I'm glad that you're willing to share that part, because it's something that really makes a lot of sense. And I think that a lot of people who would watch this will understand now, like, where that need to or want to fix things sort of comes from. It isn't necessarily just like a side hobby to make a little bit of extra money. It is quite literally built into your DNA, your personality, and that's what you like doing. I mean, that's what you do in real life, in your real job, and then when you get home on your spare time, it is also what you do. Which is why I think it translates so well to all of the other things that you do. When you bring over a Rob the robot that has been completely, like, he's got new legs. He has a voice box now. He has eyes that blink and, like, all of these things. It just, when you know that about you, it makes a lot more sense. And I'm glad that you're open with sharing that, because I think that really kind of helps, understand and paint the broader picture as to why, what motivates you and what drives you to do this sort of stuff.
And what makes it very satisfying too, get a lot of emails, people saying, hey, we love what you made us, really enjoyed it, it's got me gaming with my kids again. And that's really satisfying, like hearing those stories and knowing that these things bring people's families together, people's friends together. It feels great to do that.
I get a lot of those emails on your behalf of people, because I make a lot of videos about the things that you make for me, and then I get people that send me messages, or like we'll be live, my wife and I live stream, and we get people that pop into the live and they're just like, tell Dr. Mod, I love this thing, or I got 4 consoles from Dr. Mod, and it really blows my mind that you're able to do what you do during the day, which is very high functioning work, and then still go home and do all of this other stuff and answer I think a lot of people don't realize, but it's a lot of emails. Hundreds of emails.
Yes.
You answer all of them. It's just, it's crazy.
I'll say with both my jobs, it's not a Well, I call it a job. That's not what they are to me. They're passions.
Yeah.
I have passion for medicine and taking care of people, getting people well. And then I also have a passion for video games and giving consoles a new life. You know, video game consoles that would have been tossed aside and making them exciting again and having people enjoy them again. It's a passion. So, you know, it's easy. It's easy for me to do because I like it.
And this is how I feel about what I do here with this too. This isn't my like normal job or whatever. I run a business 9 hours a day outside of this, and I stay up until, well, both of us stay up until 2 in the morning tinkering and making videos and editing videos and doing all this stuff, and then wake up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, whatever, the next morning and get to our normal jobs only to come home and do it again. And people are like, oh God, you know, how do you not get burnt out? And it's like, well, when you truly love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. And that's making these videos doesn't feel like work to me. And for you, tinkering with all this stuff doesn't feel like work. And so it doesn't burn me out because I get excited about it. I'm sitting here right now making this video and I'm thinking in my head about when we're done and I have to make the shorts for tomorrow and edit those and all the fun that I'm gonna have in the next couple hours doing that. Now that means I'm not gonna get to bed until, you know, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. But
you're happy with it, right? And I wouldn't, you know, same thing here. I'm up late. I have to get up early in the morning. I wish you could mod my sleep schedule.
I know, right?
You know,
it'd be like that episode of, I don't know if you watch Rick and Morty, but it'd be like that episode of The Night People.
I'm a friend of your son-in-law. Come with me. How?
We can just make ourselves do things in our sleep.
Where
it's like, you know, we wake up in the morning, you got this brand new mod. You didn't even know that you had it in you. So there you have it. This is Ask Dr. Mod. If you have a question for the doctor, hit the comments and leave it below. Keep it nice, by the way. If you don't have anything nice to say, what's the saying? Don't say it at all. I don't know, it's the internet, I feel like. But if you have a question about, you know, hey, I've got this thing and I'm thinking about modding it, or I'm thinking about throwing it away, or I've got a buddy who's got one of these that wants to give it to me. Is this a moddable thing? Is it fixable? It doesn't even need to be a mod per se. It can be the fact that, you know, maybe your Game Boy Advance or your SP was in your back pocket, you sat on it and you cracked the screen. Or maybe you're like me and your kid stepped on their Pikachu DS, smashed the screen, you tried to replace it, and you broke the ribbon doing it. That's what I did. I did that. Then you can, you know, you can ask Dr. Mod, hey, is this fixable? And maybe it's totally fixable.
It is.
Don't throw it away. But hit the comments and let us know, what questions would you like to see addressed in upcoming episodes of Ask Dr. Mod? And which mod video would you like to see? If you want to see one of my favorite videos we've ever done on a mod, you should check out the PlayStation 3 mod video that lives right here. And if you want to catch these videos as they come out, subscribe to the channel right here. Click that bell icon right there to be notified, you know, when new videos pop up. And until then, what shall we do?
The same thing we do every night, Chris.
Try and take over the world?